welcome back. Now, as coalition talks are underway, to put it bluntly, just who should the ANC get into bed with? It is widely expected that a DA or EFF coalition will be rejected in favour of formations with minority parties. Susan Booysen, who's analyst and emeritus professor at the Wits School of Governance, joins us with her thoughts on the matter. Prof, always a pleasure and a good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Prof, I think I haven't spoken to you since we saw the outcome of the election. Were you surprised?
In some ways, no. In others, yes. The no comes in as far as we had some very credible, reliable public opinion polls before the election. The decline of the ANC was widely expected. However, even if some of the polls that indicate around 40%, just over, it was a surprise, an element of surprise to see that it exactly solidifies at 40%. And the other element of surprise, whereas we knew that the MK party, Zuma's Umkhonto weSizwe, would be doing well. There's opinion polls that were released this year certainly indicated that, but it still had an element of surprise, the extent to which people did vote for that party, and especially the extent to which it came to predominate in KwaZulu-Natal. So small elements of surprise within the overall quite predictable picture.
With that said, we find ourselves in a bit of an uncertain environment at this point, Prof. And of course, it is this issue of a coalition or a government of national unity. Maybe for the sake of, I think, many people, let's talk about what exactly a government of national unity is and how it's different to a coalition government.
Well, thank you for that, because the two are really variants on coalitions. Coalition is a broad umbrella term, really. And a government of national unity is a consensual coming together of at least all of the major or the bulk of the major parties to represent a significant proportion of the overall vote in a legislature. In that way, a government of national unity definitely is a form of coalition. We have seen in party narratives that they really try to present it as an alternative to coalitions, but I think that is politically opportunistic to try and do that. So definitely it's a grand form of coalition, and if it doesn't include all of the parties, one could then call it a grand coalition, where the parties that come together to govern jointly have far more than the minimum majority of 50% of the national vote to come together and govern. And that is a grand coalition. Just by the way, we also see political parties refer to the confidence and supply agreements, and confidence and supply is also not an alternative to a coalition. It is a form of coalition. It is a minimal type of coalition where parties come together and they say, we don't support each other on everything, or some policies we definitely agree to disagree, but we shall support you when it comes to maybe election of a president, otherwise in motions of confidence or no confidence, and in passing of budgets where outright majority of votes is required. And that is a minimal form of coalition. And all of these are coalitions, and they're all on the table at this stage, although we see the emphasis since yesterday more on a government of national unity.
Prof, there's a big push, I think, coming from certain spaces for an ANC-DA coalition here, and I want to get your perspective on it. Also, maybe on the back of the fact that the ANC lost all of the support over this election, but those votes did not automatically sway to the DA. And that does tell us about, there's a certain, I guess, thought, ideas about the DA as an alternative to the ANC, and maybe now at this point even as a partner.
Yes, we see that is one of the big controversies that are unfolding. There is a lot of talk, and we know there are talks about talks between the ANC and the DA. And those are very strong in own right. And I think it would be quite possible for the party leaderships to reach a very good, solid understanding between them. But I think both these parties, ANC and the DA, are also wise enough to see that there is fallout and there is some party segments of the political parties, especially then now we're talking about the ANC, that are vehemently opposed to that type of cooperative agreement. We will have to wait to see the extent to which the ANC's National Executive Committee, after its meeting today and through its meeting today, can actually pull together the threads and give leadership. So while there is likely to be continued fallout in ANC also because of the proposed close relationship with the DA, I think we are more likely to see emphasis and then perhaps also in a DA switching to be a form that will be more inclusive and to say, yes, let's govern together. Let's look at what the electorate asked, and the electorate probably asked here for parties to come together roughly in proportionate measure. And so I think it seems, by all indications, they are pursuing that one as option number one now. And should it not work out to get this broader unity going, then the parties and also the ANC would at least be able to go back to their followers and to say, we did try that and that for the following reasons, did not work out, cannot work out. So it is a rapid transition that is happening in South Africa's politics. And I think a major adjustment, which we still have to see full evidence of, major adjustment for the ANC is actually to persuade its leaders and its followers to act like a party that has actually missed out by about 10 percentage points on an outright majority. One can imagine how big an adjustment that is in the mind of the ANC.
Prof, we don't have much time left, but I must ask you this one. It seems also very clear that no matter how we try to slice this cake, the emergence of President Ramaphosa as state president, that is something that we seem to have quite a good consensus around.
Yes, it is. It's quite interesting to see the extent to which other political parties are trying to use this current lack of majority predicament of the ANC to not just interpret a broader mandate received from the electorate, but also to try to use this, and this we've seen both in the EFF and the MK party, to interpret this voter verdict as license to them to push for the removal of President Ramaphosa. And we have tentatively heard from the ANC, I'm sure that will be confirmed today, that Ramaphosa is a president. They do not have any intent to replace him. And if we just look at the broader ANC, there's really no alternative to Cyril Ramaphosa at this point in time. So this could be one of the points on which some of the opposition parties decide not to join in a government of national unity.
Well, Prof, it looks like still lots to come, and I hope we can keep talking as it all emerges. Thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure. That was analyst and emeritus professor at Wits School of Governance, Susan Booysen.